Hey everybody, thanks for coming here. I'm Jonathan Mozenter. Welcome to my talk and meditation about masculine and feminine energetics in magical collaboration. So I'm gonna help you we're gonna do something called pointing out instructions. Okay. What is pointing out instructions? So we're gonna do some experiential work where I'm gonna point to something that was pointed to me by some Tibetan teachers that changed my life. Some distinctions that were helpful. This divided something that was like I thought was like one messy thing into parts so I could deal with it better. Would you guys be interested in learning something like that today?
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Can we cut the music?
Bro, I'm doing a sound check. Give me a second.
Okay. All right. We got some music. All right. Anyways, we have some funny dynamics, but it's okay. It's perfect. All right. So what we're gonna do today is I just want to break life into two parts. We're gonna go from 1 to 2, and I'm gonna show you how to have a different what that does for you. Okay. And so first I want us all just to kind of ground a little bit and relax and get a little bit concentrated, because the more our minds kind of focus and relax, the more it's easier to see what I'm doing. If our minds are racing really fast, because I need you a little bit of a focus. So we're gonna drop in right now with a little bit of a guided meditation. So everyone get there, just relax put their hands on their side or down here or whatever. But just feel really relaxed. But I want you to be really upright in the spine and in the head, but relax in the shoulders, between the eyebrows. And all I want you to do is to find the breath. And notice as the breath rises and the breath falls. And then in between, notice the body. And keep on that, following the breath up and down, or rising and falling and back to the body. And this is called the 3-point meditation. And the only reason we're doing it here is to calm our minds and get a little concentrated. So when I point to these things, our mind is a little settled, a little equanimous. So just follow the breath. Always right here, this breath. And back to the body in between. Bring some tenacious fascination with that breath and body. I'm here and I stay on this breath. I'm here and I stay on this breath. I'm here and I stay on this breath. Keep focusing on the breath and the body in between. Okay, everybody, open your eyes, shake that off a little bit, come back to me, and yeah, we'll stretch a little bit. Get our minds a little focused. And I'm gonna make this fun today. We're gonna do a lot of experiential. So what I like to do is I like to describe something and then help you see it, and then let's talk about it as an experience. So I'm gonna first model something that really changed my life. And it was when the teacher asked me, have you ever thought about looking at life like this? And I was like, no, but now that you pointed that out, that kind of changes everything. And I was like, whoa. So let's just go there. I'm gonna do contrast to really make something obvious and stick out. So like if I was in what I would call ordinary mind, I'd be like, I'm Jonathan, I'm in a human body, I got some people outside of me, and I'm here in Costa Rica, I'm at a festival, I'm teaching a class, and ordinary mind, right? How we all kind of normally see things. And nothing wrong with that, but all I'm suggesting, I'm going to point to something that might give you an enhancement. You don't necessarily lose ordinary mind, but you now have another perspective that can add some value to your life. And so the teacher said, I want you to find something. I'm going to point to something that's invisible, but I'm going to make it visible. It's a way of looking at life. So I'm going to now do it from my perspective, and then I'm going to do a guided meditation to help you do it. So if I were doing something from this other perspective, let's call it a mind view, which is I want to point to when I'm looking outside here. The new way of looking at it is like there's an invisible, clear field. Like think of a painting, but now you're not just seeing the painting, you're actually seeing the canvas, right? So this field, this clear invisible field, is also kind of like consciousness. So imagine consciousness is this lucid, clear, invisible field, and then our five senses, our intuition, our imagination are like inputs to create the image that is the now. You guys see what I'm saying? So, but instead of seeing, we're so, I don't want to say maybe addicted, but we're used to just focusing on the contents. We don't even think to like, hey, you can actually pay attention to the holding space, the clear space. So you could take as like, imagine seeing this clear field and now all this information is coming to form this picture. But it turns out it's really useful if you actually can see the frame, this lucid field, and it changes things. And I'm going to explain to you why. But first, before I even explain why, I'm going to do we're going to do an experiential part of meditation, and then we're going to talk about it. So we're all going to kind of make sure I'm on the right page. And just I want you to be authentic about what your authentic experience is. So I want to make sure that you have an opportunity to play with this perspective. It's really just a perspective. I'm a volunteerist. I don't believe in forcing anything. This helped me, so I want to pay it forward. And so you can tell me for yourself whether it's useful for yourself. But let's give you an experience. So let's get into that meditation posture again. We're not going to do concentration because our mind is already concentrated, and hopefully you're curious now. So why don't we all first, with our eyes open, let's just relax into our ordinary way of looking at things. And something said to close your eyes. And sometimes it's easier to do with the eyes closed, especially after you just close them. So notice there was this contract where you saw this color of like being here in Costa Rica and being outside, and now, at least for me, it's like black with some light. And so instead of focusing on the black and the light, what if you just focused on the ether, the space, the canvas, the consciousness that holds whatever you're experiencing, including my voice, and also the vision. So just focus and just finding it. Just being like, oh yeah, I see what Jonathan's saying. There's like a lucid, clear field that holds my experience. And then quickly open your eyes. And now find it again. Even though that everything's like the vision's totally changed, it's still that lucid, clear field is always right here that holds your experience. Now close your eyes again. Now think about, this is where it really gets a little bit wild. When you're dreaming at night, it's the same field, that holds your dreams. And so, it's an interesting thing because some people believe maybe life is more like a dream than we realize, because there's no way to know that the thing in the 3D in our dream are really different. They're kind of the same thing. There's just basically a clear field and there's images. And I want you just kind of to notice that. Just see how when you're dreaming or you're daydreaming, like let's say you imagined some elephants just trampled through your mind or whatever. It's still the same invisible field, and your mind is projecting out these images. Open your eyes again. And I want you just to relax. This is just a perspective, and I'm going to explain to you why it's useful. But before we get into that, I want to do a little bit of a Q&A. Like, what was that like for you? Was it confusing? Was it interesting? Did you not see what I'm talking about? Was it cool and eye-opening? Let's just talk about it a little bit, because I think that it's in the processing that we take different perspectives on it. And just whatever, just be your authentic self. No right or wrong. Just let me know. What did people experience when they did that? Anyone want to go first? Right.
I think the first time we opened our eyes, quickly, I was just laser focused, just very meditative, very in my own kind of meditative space.
Right.
It was very noticeable. It was like a camera focusing.
Yeah.
And then I could just hear my mind very clearly, just the conversation I was having about what I'm experiencing, and then just the dialogue in my brain.
Beautiful. So you were able to see what I was saying, and it had an effect of you being. It sounds like there was some enhanced awareness of maybe some subtle things you weren't aware of before. Is that what I'm understanding? Which would make sense.
It's hard to put words to it, but yeah. So focus and a deeper listening. So less noise, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
Great, that makes sense. Anyone else want to comment on what their experience was like? Clear, unclear, difference?
It was a very, me, I'm all always a student, right?
Yeah.
To try different things. So I'd totally lean into all it. And I felt we're just all surrounded. It's just a blank canvas of plasma, and it's just as when we open our eyes, that's what we see. Because I know that's there, but when I close my eyes, it's all gone. And then that wasn't really articulate, but
right.
It was just showing me just being the observer, right? It's just when we got that sense shut off. Yeah, it just brings me back into this place of being that observer. And things just kind of show up only when you really observe it.
Great. Actually, I want to do something. I want to really piggyback on what you said, because we talked about masculine and feminine energetics. So we're starting here with first, as all of us have masculine and feminine energetics in this system, in this way of looking. And what I'm pointing to first is the masculine energetics in all of us, whether you're a man or a woman. And so the first part of the masculine is this field. Is when I talk about masculine, I mean, I'm talking about the part of life that's indestructible. It's always right here. It doesn't matter if you're sleeping or if you're awake, the lucid field, this ether, this consciousness, whatever you want, this holding space of life, it's always here, right? You're astral traveling, whatever you are, you're still in the space, right? So it's masculine. And Wendy brought up this great point about this other thing about being the observer. So the observer is observing the field, and but let's actually close our eyes really quick, and find the part of you that's listening to my voice and viewing whatever visual images you're having, and distinguish it apart from whatever else you're doing. It's kind of like the deeper you. And just relax into that part. Yeah. And notice, that part is just an observer, a witness of your experience. And we all have it. Doesn't matter if you're a man or woman. We all have these masculine witness and this masculine space that's always right here. And when you know that this observer and this lucid, clear field that life is on is always here, first off, the Buddhists would say, and you cannot die because this field is always right here. I mean, it could turn black, but is that death if you can observe black? You know what I mean? Or you could go through some tunnels. It's just images. So, I mean, I think even when the Christ comes back, he's supposed to talk about eternal life. To me, eternal life is knowing your true face, which is this lucid field of awareness and this observer. If you understand that's who you really are, it's incredibly powerful in your ability to transform. And I'm going to explain why in a couple moments. So, but before we do that, just open your eyes. And now still anchor in being this observer. This observer is not your thoughts. It's not your feelings. It's not your sensations. It's not the people on the screen. It's not the images. It's just observing. Because all of that other stuff that I just mentioned, anything that changes is in this model feminine. It's like creative. It's flowing. It's always shifting, right? And so the feminine is like, in this model is like is the entertaining, it's the image, it's the creativity, the novelty, but it's not the fixed part because it's always changing. And keep in mind, we all have masculine and feminine, they're both epic. So there's no judgment on it. It's just, I'm gonna show you how to put these two together so you can have the magical collaboration, right? So first off, are people jiving what I'm saying? You understand what the point of view I'm getting at? You guys, anyone not clear kind of what I'm saying? Yeah, so what I'm trying to do is give you greater control. And I'm going to explain to you what happens. And I know some of us here have some experience with psychology. But a lot of what happens, well, not a lot of what happens with the human species is because of when we come here, we pop out of our mother's womb and we probably have some signature on us, whether it's from past life or astrology or whatever, or your parents' genes. We have some codes, but then we're also come out and as an infant, like, oh, what is this? I don't, like almost, obviously helpless, and you're totally dependent, and you're like searching around, like, how do I survive in this place? It's all about survival when you're a baby, and they can't do anything. It's completely helpless. So it's like, the first instinct is just how, and what happens is they get all these ideas about life, and they go on top of this field of this observer. So like imagine all these codes, boo, 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 flying as all babies, all children is on there. And then as we get older, we notice that some of those things, maybe are getting in the way. And sometimes they're hard to remove because they're really deep inside of you. So the reason why I show everyone this distinction and why I make it one of my highest priorities with my clients when I'm doing transformation is I want to give them a tool so they know who they are, and that realize any other story you have about life is just a story. It's just something you picked up, an energy, an entity, whatever. It's just stuff in your mind, but you're not that. So if any story you got in your mind, or you think life is this or that, I would stamp it as a maybe. I'm giving you permission. I'm not telling you what's true or not true. I'm empowering you to question your deepest assumptions and ask, does this deepest assumption support your wildest dreams coming true, and giving you permission to let it go. It's not you. You're just an observer and a screen. And so it's a real, what they call in Buddhism, the ground of being. So if you know that, and minds construct meanings, a lot of the meanings we created are in the first 5 or 6 years of our life, right? Do you want to still use those as your core operating codes here as an adult? Or what if people like me and other people who do what I do give you tools to go back and unplug some of those and give you new techniques, be like, yeah, I don't really want to have the same trigger come up all the time that makes it difficult in my intimate conversation with my partner. Because a lot of times, especially with people you spend a lot of time with and they see you on all your phases, they'll see you when you probably still have some things that aren't clean yet. So when you're the goal is to create space. You want healthy detachment from things, especially things that aren't serving you anymore, so you have permission to change it and then go in. A lot of people think detachment is bad and embodiment is good. I call radical bullshit on that. It's not true. It's a polarity. What you want is an ability to do both. At times you want to be really in the flow and one with things, but then also sometimes you're in the flow with things and you're like, I don't know, that didn't feel right. And you want to go a little bit detached and be like, I wonder if I can integrate that or use that information in a different way. and then you go back to embodiment. So it's more you want to have this scale, this healthy scale, so that you can constantly change your relationship to things. And so I feel like that's like that's going to make an optimal person. Yeah. And so this is a tool and technique to unblend from parts of you that maybe are no longer serving. So I'm going to pause there. We got a lot of time here. I want to give some chance to maybe go a little bit deeper, but before I do that, questions. Anyone have some questions? Any comments?
Well, very interesting.
Okay.
Well, this is a different point of view. But it looks like I kind of do that.
Yeah.
My dreams, and I mean, I have this sense of curiosity, right? Very strong sense of curiosity to learn, to never stop learning. And even in my dreams, I'm very aware. I mean, I have a lot of lucid dreams. So, and I have this kind of people who pass. And
Yeah.
So for me, it's always sometimes I usually talk with my family that I saw my father. We talk and something like that, and I saw with some cousins, who's not here anymore. So yeah, it's for me it's very strange to have that kind of dream, right? And also there's another dream, right, where kind of nightmares. Or maybe not nightmares, but it's when I'm going deep and it's struggle or battle, right? Trying to find by curiosity, find some not information, but well, it's a dream, right? Sometimes it doesn't make any sense, but it looks like it makes sense. So
I feel like there's a question coming here. Yeah.
No, I mean, when you do this kind of exercise, it's like kind of dreaming, right? It's like I'm going. It's always it's kind of the same process for me to go to sleep. So it's I don't know. It looks like it's related.
Well, what I'm hearing from you is, how do you use this in regular daily life, and both dreaming and non-dreaming? It's true you can use it in the dream world, but it's also in the daytime world. So why don't I give examples of both? So it's a great question. And so what I'm hearing is during the day, what I do is I have this practice is I get like, I'm actually like saying like how he started to notice more thoughts. That happens to me. I start to know, the more I do this practice, and you can turn it into like a meditation practice, which I'm going to show you in a little bit, is you can start walking around knowing where a lot of people's like, someone said, like, Jonathan, what's your primary identity? Like before I started meditating, I'd be like, I'm at a certain age, I'm a male, I grew up here, whatever, kind of like ordinary describing of what we would say. But now if somebody said like, all right, gun to your head, Jonathan, who are you? Well, I'm an observer in a lucid awareness, and I'm constructing reality in a way that manifests my greatest heart's desires. And my greatest heart's desires is to see a world where everybody's flourishing, including myself, and we're all happy, and to be part of a movement of people spreading best practices of human flourishing so we can, have a regenerative planet where we're thriving, for all eternity. It seems like it's everybody's core dream, or at least my core dream, and it seems like I'm not the only person. There's a lot of people here I know who share that. And so how I do this is now that I know that that's where I want to go, I start to notice these subtle habits, behaviors, sensations, and I notice my reactions to them, and I'm like, is that getting me towards the dreams or not? And if it is, it's keep, and if it's not, it's like, we better pull back a little bit, and is there a better way of handling this? So very simple protocols, and it turns out there's a lot of little refinements you can make on many dimensions, and I don't know, I have obsession and intelligence in that area. It's like my geekdom, my nerddom, my dorkiness, and so now I've gotten to be an expert at it. I want to share it, and so we can all benefit as a species. And but I also want to come back to your question about the dream world, because there's so much untapped potential in the dream world. So you can use these techniques as you're falling asleep, and you can stay lucid. And there are different levels to all these things. And I've done it. It's called dream yoga. It's a nighttime practice. And there's all kinds of things you can do with it. And I've taken a couple courses on it and books, and I practice it. And I won't get into that, but there's also a daytime practice to it. But let me focus on the nighttime practice first. And I'd say, maybe like if there's like a scale of 1 to 10 where there's like the ultimate dream yoga person, and then there's like a beginner, I'm probably like a 3.5. So like I've got some experience, some attainment, but I'm nowhere near the peak of the mountain. So I'm just going to be transparent. But I can tell you some cool things. Like you can be lucid when you're sound asleep. Like I can be completely awake and I can hear myself snore. I can also be completely awake and take control of the dream and use it to solve problems or build skills. Now, can I do it every night, all the time? Absolutely not. But if I really do all the tricks and do it and I get really intentional about it, I can hit it, maybe 50, 60% of the times with intention, which, it takes effort. If you're going to put energy into that, you're not putting energy into something else. So I don't do it all the time because I got other priorities. But anyways, there's all these potentials, and you actually use the tool that I just did. It's not the only part of it, but you have to, as you're falling asleep, to know you're the field of awareness and not the content. You can do deep spiritual work. I've went in deep into my own mind, and I've met astral beings, and you can have interesting experiences that affect this life. Not just, sometimes they're just good stories, but sometimes they're good stories that shamanically shape you. You know how you can have a shamanic thing doing psychedelics? Well, you can have a shamanic experience at night in your dreams. So there's so much more potential. So anyone who thinks like humanity has anywhere hit the peak of what we're done, I'd say no way. We're way, maybe I think we're a teenager starting to grow up. And when I think we're adults is when we know how to play all peacefully together. That would be my definition of adulthood, where there's no more war. If we're still at war with each other, the species to me isn't quite a full adult yet, because there's still, and the key really to get beyond, to end the war is it's really just, to me, I'm gonna cut through, this is my opinion, it's this fusion of some of our survival instincts with our observer. Some people are so fused with that, they just fight right away. They get so attached to only resolving a certain problem in one way, they don't realize there's like 9 million other ways to solve it. And they're so fused with it and so like, it's gotta be this way, then they just entrenched in fighting. It's like a win-lose thing. And there's not enough energy. To me, in order to resolve that, it's not that complicated based on where all the information I have. If you help people understand what they need is more energy directed at separating from that survival pattern and their observer. Once they do that and they put the intention, well, why don't you get some more perspectives just to get you to peace, and so you're not always at war? What if those people, actually they're like masters like me who are really good. Like, when I say masters, I'm really good at that. I'm not a master at everything, but I'm good at these things I've really specialized in. And I think psychedelics can help with intention. Just taking a psychedelic can go in all kinds of different directions, but if you really channel the energy in a very specific way with intention, commitment, with support staff, you could go really far, really fast. And I have another class on Saturday where I'm going to talk about specifically how to do that. But these two are kind of tied together. If you have this ability to unblend, right? Because you're the space and you're not the survival pattern, then you can start to get space. I think all of mental illness is because they're observers fused with some pattern that's doing them something that's destructive. And as soon as they get space and they realize that there's an opportunity that's not fully who they are and there's safety around doing it, then we could end mental illness. So my friends know I'm very optimistic. It's because I see the way home, the way out, and it's a matter of directing our energy, our observer, the one who's witnessing, in the ways that actually get us to what we want, And so if everybody's using their energy smarter by like blending from these patterns that are destructive, then the whole species just gets better at once. And we combine that with AI and quantum computers. God knows what I'm positive the CIA and Mossad, they got other kind of gadgets that we don't even know about that will change the world that we're just too immature to even use. If we can get over our own like blocks, these being technically survival patterns, we can then bring in even more stuff. And I believe that the species will go from like feels like there's going to be World War III and everything's going to fall apart to boom, we're all going to be like, oh shit, if we just get these systems come together. I mean, that's where I think we are in human history. And I think this skill of unblending, but knowing you are and the feminine is really one of the key pieces. So anyways, great question. All right.
I feel like
Go ahead.
the survival play is just like as we step into, like it's like having those two different layers. It's like as we step into the observer, then the survivor can heal, but also we have to recognize that like a lot of our operations are like have been in survival mode.
Yes.
Like most of society is operating in survival, even if you want to even if they don't even know it, right? Because
Yes.
it's like they're like in the rat race. I have to pay my rent, I have to do all these things, and it's like continuously like the 1%, whatever you want to call it. And the darkness is always trying to keep us in survival mode, and like so it's like just being able to step to first become aware of that like what actually it's like, oh, maybe we operated in that for a while, and now it's time to actually recognize to like let go of those patterns, and like you said, create a space so that we can like step into the new actions of stepping into the observer and like letting go of the survival patterns that may have served us in the past, but they don't serve us anymore. So like letting go of that, and then we can step into abundance for all life on planet Earth.
I agree with you. I think one thing that's really important is that there's some people who think like only like a survival pattern is only about like I need to get food or this. A lot of people, like even some people, I know there's a lot of really wealthy people who are miserable and they're caught in a mental rat race of like, I don't know why, but I got to make more and more money, or those I don't feel good about myself because they're running away for something. So survival patterns can look in a lot of different ways. And when we as a spirit need to understand survival patterns, I'm going to go there, like the Tibetans say life is a mirror. So if our unconscious is dominating and all of us are like trying to like, we still haven't like gotten over, I need to slow down. Like when I think what happens like when we're born, imagine being like a baby, you're coming out of a mother's, vagina, womb, and it's like, it's a dimensional jump, right? You're jumping dimensions. You're like, what's going on? Pushing you out. You're like, ah, it's like, oh, what's this? All the bright light, whatever, assuming it's, in a level place. It can be scary, very scary. And I think immediately some part of us contracts out of fear, out of survival. It's like too much light, and I actually, because the Buddhist thing kind of got me thinking about, well, maybe God is just a mind that has all these different parts to it. So I imagined being like how could life start? And I'm like, hey, there's no rational explanation for anything to exist. So some part of me said, I had this story where this vision, where I was like, all of a sudden I had a thought. It was like, I wonder if I existed, what it would be like. And then the words, let there be light, and then like, then part of me is like, I did it, like there's like this is what the Buddhists say. It's called the natural state. When you have this, they call it awe. But then like if you're imagining staring at a light for a long time, after a while it might wear off. Be like, all right, it's a light. Is there anything else going on? And then a whole bunch of other feelings start coming on, like including boredom and anger. And anyways, why do I mention all that is because I think there's some contraction there. Like a feeling of like failure because we didn't know what to do next. Like maybe I screwed it up, and basically we all have this. We all have this layer of doubt, this insecurity, and this pattern of like protecting ourselves so that we can cope with life. And when I think about if I'm the creator of the universe, why would I ever want to do that if I could create anything at all? And I came to this thing of no contrast, no meaning. So it turns out if you have a little bit, like if it's just bliss all the time, then, you know, that's going to get boring. But if you have this kind of range, a healthy range, life is actually more blissful, like when you have something to compare it to. So I think we're at the sweet spot in human history because we're like, have enough pain, you know, that we're actually feeling like, oh, war is ugly. But, you know, we're not like, you know, where it's World War III or, you know, like poverty. We're actually pretty close to the switch point. So it's like, I think if I'm a human watcher and you're worried about what's going on, we actually can flip the switch like pretty quickly, and this could be like the greatest movie ever. And so that's what kind of excites me. And I realize that most people, and this is where I'm really getting to the take-home point, is that are stuck focusing on the past. When I talk to a lot of people and I tell them about what I just said, they look at me like, we've never done it before. How are we going to do it then? You're an idiot. And I'm like, I know, because you're focusing in the wrong direction. You're focusing on the past when we didn't do it, and I'm focusing on the future where we succeeded. And because I see that vision and how to get there, like I don't care what we did in the past. These are different times. These are a different story. And I think that our habit of going backwards to these defense patterns and how it went before is causing us to stay in this loop. And if we just realize that we hook in to this future where we all won at once, then we can actually go there. But it's a quantum leap. But in one ways it is and one isn't, because that itself is a big jump. But then we're like, hey, just think about it. We start getting this one thing, everyone starts thinking more positively and using the tools instead of stressing about what that clown Donald Trump is doing in the office, man. I actually think this is a very unusual take on Donald Trump. I think the oligarchs are placing him there just to cause a ruckus while all these other rest of the world is getting their shit together to like turn on the lights and make it be epic, because he's like a distraction machine. Holy shit, that guy. And so many people get caught up in it. But anyways, those of us who are here are doing the deep work to set up the new structure. So that's why I think people here more easily do it, because we're doing the work to create the new systems, the new culture that everyone's going to move to. But we got about 10 minutes left before the next thing, and I want to give you one last experiential meditation to put it all together. This is going to help you all week long. So what we're going to do is we're gonna do just like 2 minutes of concentration. Then I want you to focus on finding this field of awareness, the space, the ether, consciousness, the holding space for everything. The Buddhists call it indestructible essence. Any of those words kind of like are synonyms in my opinion, but it's like the background that holds all of life. And I want you to focus on being that. We're just going to focus on being that for like 3 minutes. And then I want you to start to notice everything else is in it. And I want you just to let it be there without reacting to it, without labeling it, and just let it be. And because what you're trying to undo is you have a habit of labeling all these things a certain way. And so you're bringing your from the past, your bound interpretations, in other words, your interpretations of the past, and projecting it on. But if you don't do that, you allow this free energy to come up with new, novel interpretations of life, which open up more possibilities. So all the skill does is allow you to shake out of an old habit and maybe pick a new one if it sounds better. Do people like to try that out? Okay. All right, let's do the final meditation here. All right, so everybody relax and get into a good meditation posture, a good base. Get our spine up, our head, our shoulders relaxed, relax between the eyebrows. And let's find the 3-point object, the breath, the rising breath, the falling breath, and the body, and just bring some tenacious fascination to those 3 points and to relax into that. So we're going to get a little concentration before we drop into the next practice. I'm here and I stay on this 3-point object. I'm here and I stay on this 3-point object. I'm here and I stay on this 3-point object with tenacious fascination, always right here. It's also a good practice just to bring some equanimity and balance to your being. Okay, now I want you to open your eyes wide open, and I want you to find this lucid, clear, invisible field of awareness that holds your experience, and just focus on that with tenacious fascination. Just find the space that's always right here. It's part of the face of your Buddha, and then find the observer, and just be the observer watching the field of awareness, the indestructible essence that's always right here. Close your eyes and do the same practice with your eyes closed. Find the field of awareness and focus on the field of awareness even though the contents have changed. Let's open our eyes again. Now we're going to add something to this practice. Now with your eyes open, notice that there's all kinds of things happening in your field. You might have thoughts come up. You might have visual objects. You might hear sounds. Notice they're changing. And we always, in our past, we've just interpreted them in a certain way. So I want you to, whatever interpretation comes up, immediately know, maybe I'm open to other ideas. I could see it unlimited ways. And just allow it to be there. And the way you actually do that, the secret to it is to non-engage it. It's like, all right, I got an impulse to feel it a certain way, but whatever. And it's a practice called ocean and waves. And you are this ocean of this field of awareness, and everything that arises is like this wave that comes and goes, comes and goes. Why don't you turn your head into the right? And I do that just because we just change in the contents. So this masculine observer and field of awareness is always right here, but this other part, these waves, the feminine, what I'm calling lively awareness, the part that's always changing, it's always changing. So if it starts to freak you out a little bit, don't worry about it, it's going to change. It's not to be afraid of, it's just energy and information in your mind. And the goal of this practice is to open up new possibilities and nothing more, nothing less. So your interpretation that does come up, you can go with it, or you can pause and see if another one comes up. I'm empowering you to see things through multiple perspectives. Come back to the center and just focus on the field of awareness and just allow everything to be there as it is, and just be aware that your mind's going to be constantly constructing meaning, and your observer, the goal is for your observer to be like, yeah, maybe, and smile, maybe. Just that little bit of separation and freedom separates you from your old stories and holds them with the possibility of keeping them or nothing new. It's up to you. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just showing you how to get new perspectives on existence for your benefit, enhancing creativity. That's just what I call human empowerment. But the ultimate power is I'm going to put the power back on you and being this witness. Your witness is the one that actually decides what life means and how to respond to it. And all I'm doing is helping you unblend from habits that are unconscious, that are deeply rooted, and showing you how some different techniques And this is one technique, but I have many tools, and this is a good place for people to start. So let's just do one more minute of just noticing, the objects coming up. I am this field of awareness, and all this lively thoughts, feelings, sensations, they're just energy and information in my field, and it's up to me to decide what that means. The power's back with you. It doesn't care what your parents said, or your culture says, or the newspaper says. You're the one who gets to decide. You get to decide. It's your mind giving the power back to you. If you know who you really are, and you put the power there, that's ultimate. And why don't everybody relax and return? Oh, how was that practice for everybody? Interesting. Any questions or comments? Yeah.
I'm struggling to don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Please do not fall asleep, because it's kind of an exercise that makes me go there to that kind of sense of awareness of the lucid dream. So
yep.
Yeah, it's something like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah. What kind of
you're getting like close to theta, right? Like that happens when you're meditating sometimes. If you're sitting, that's because you're getting right into that theta state, no?
There's lots of ways to analyze it. That's using like the kind of the alpha, beta, kind of gamma things, which I have some awareness of. But let me speak to it from a more consciousness. The thing that sometimes comes up is, remember how Max was saying like he was aware of some more subtle thoughts? Sometimes the things you're aware of are things that are uncomfortable, and some part of you is like starts to get aware of it, and then you remember, oh, that's the shit that I don't know how to integrate yet, and you start to like pass out. And so what you do is you strengthen the muscle. You have to you just did it for a few minutes. I mean, this is a practice I've been doing for since 2011, and it's not like it's not like you do this once in your whole life. I mean, you can change a little bit from doing it once, don't get me wrong, but the masters are practicing it all the time, because consciousness has got a lot of layers to it. And we can see that. And what I've learned is like, that could seem intimidating, or you could realize it's like a fun game of super empowerment, because the more you control you understand how you make the unconscious conscious, the more influence you have over life. And so if you want to have more power of manifesting your heart-centered dreams, these kind of practices will help you unblend from the things. So that's how it's very common. So so what I would say to you is somebody who's a very advanced practitioner, as I go to different layers, I still get to different places where I get super tired. But now I know, like, oh, this is an opportunity for me to try and stay awake and see what's going on there. And sometimes I can, and sometimes I can't, because sometimes I'll do it for a little bit and I'll get as far as I could, and that was the threshold for that day or that session or that moment, and then you just go deeper another time. It's like a persistence thing. So what I'm teaching people is new techniques, things you keep practicing, and they keep deepening. I've been at it for, as I said, since 2011 when I learned these practices, and it keeps deepening, and it's exciting. It's like super fun. For those who really get into it, I know Wendy and I've had talks, it's kind of exciting to explore your own consciousness and other people's. And once people stop seeing it as a scary, intimidating thing, and they start to get the rhythms, it's like a game. It's like the first time you play a game, like, I don't know how to play chess. It's complicated. All these pieces move different directions, whatever. Yeah, but then you start to learn how they move and the board, and you start to go, oh, I see the rhythm of this. And you start to develop the systems and the rhythms, and then it becomes a lot of fun. And you find other people playing the game with you, and you can play it together. So for those who saw me in the morning where I did an energy bundle, I was basically giving people permission collaborate together, and that's maybe the last thing that makes me so excited about the future. Is this is the next level. There's a lot of people like meditating alone, but Buddha says Sangha. What if we take these practices that we're doing in distinctions, and we start doing them as a group, and we make it a lot of fun, like a lot of fun. we're doing it together. Why are they a lot of fun? Because you and your friends are all becoming more epic together at the same time, in friendship, in harmony, in co-creation. That sounds a lot of fun to me. That's my kind of fun, anyways. That's how I define fun. If I say, what, you're going to throw a bunch of cool people and you're going to invent cool stuff that's going to make other people have their dreams come true, and then it just gets exponentiated, that's the game that I'm here to play, and I'm here to just let people know, and other people who are attracted to it are naturally attracted, and they'll bring their own piece to the puzzle. And so my point about saying this is, when we focus our attention on the things that, to make the unconscious conscious, not only as an individual, but as a collective. Like we need to do collective shadow work too. We can't, it's not just individual. There's like a lot of group things, lineage wounds. But if we start doing it together and we focus our energy on that as one piece of the puzzle, I think we're gonna slide it. We all the dimensions need to rise together. It can't be just technology. We have to do psychology, and we have to do permaculture regeneration. And each of us has a role, right? Yeah. Well, let me just finish this, and then I'll let you do it. So my point is, my last point here is this: is part of this game that I want to play is to recognize every person here is special and has a unique talent or gift to bring. And I've clearly chosen energy mastery, mind mastery, and process life. But what is that for you? Go ahead. What's your question, Gustavo?
Yeah, I'm curious about what is your take in this collective shadow work. Because if we are in this to expand our consciousness and so on, like I can be aware or something of your subconscious that you are not aware of.
Yeah.
So we want to do that work, and I start like to point that finger.
Yeah. Great question.
And how to keep it safe, how to keep it with harmony.
Yes.
Because when we start to do that collective things, and I'm pointing at other people's shadows, no, that's your shadow.
Yeah, I've been there.
Your projections, because I don't want to admit my shadows, because guess what? They are shadows. They are not seen by me.
Yeah.
No, so what is your take on keeping that safety and doing properly in a healthy way?
Absolutely.
Shadow work.
Well, I mean, it starts with a group of people who are willing to look at their own shadows and develop some norms. So you're getting into combining individual work with group norms, group facilitation norms, and that's like I'm getting to kind of slow down to give you an example.
I mean,
you need something that Simon's saying is you need to have a leadership team that is holding that, what you're saying, true, not just as an intention, but has the proper protocols and leadership to say when it isn't happening. And something that Simon says that also requires a degree of patience. Because I know if somebody calls me out as a shadow thing, and I'm I'm not sure if it's true, maybe not, but how they do it matters. And sometimes in the moment I'll be like, I don't think that was true, and then the next day I'll be like, yeah, maybe there's some truth to it, you know what I mean? So I think there's a sensitivity and a process in allowing people. If you get the right group of people who realize what you're saying and how important it is, and they see themselves as human, as developed as anyone is, they still have shadows. I know I still have shadows. And also what I was telling, I think it was Wendy just before the talk, is as I grow and develop more and I have new perspectives, I get new shadows. As I end old shadows, my energy level goes up, and then I become something new, and then, oh shit, there's a whole new set of shadows to deal with, and it doesn't end. And so my here is to say, but you get more humble, because you're like, oh, I guess I'm gonna have to keep learning shadows. So life keeps humbling you. And so for anyone who thinks they're it, is I don't know, just keep growing. You can get some cool stuff down. The universe always keeps telling me, my lower self is I want to be the greatest at everything, and my higher self's why don't you just be really good at a couple things and get it out to the world, and that'd be great. So and so it's helping people find roles, or at least roles for periods of their life that they can really focus on, that are useful now, like an ikigai. Do people know this word, ikigai? It's what are you really passionate about? What are you really good at? And what does the world need right now? What if we could help people quickly identify that in a way that brings more harmony to the world? And once we get the world up to where they're separated from their defense patterns and everyone's root chakras are thing, you know, then we can play higher vibrational games. You know what I mean? So it's like, if there was a period in human history where everyone, okay, let's make sure there's no more war and everybody's got like at least their standards and at least they're equipped with the tools to manifest their own life. And then as long, you know, because I do believe in choice, but also I do believe in like, let's end killing each other and stealing and systemic crime. And so somebody who has a lot of wisdom, but maybe not a lot of financial power, the way I can help is spread best practices of wisdom, so we can kind of be better people. Yeah, does that help answer your question? But also, I would like to be, for people here in the room and for people out in the audience who are watching this, I am looking to co-create with other people who are also want to do what you're saying. I want to be amongst other leaders who want to keep growing, but also know that there's no end to it, you know, and they're willing to look at their own shadows. I think just like starting as a leadership team, like, hey, are you always willing, if there's some safe protocols around, hey, nobody's sacrosanct, you know, if we're going to have a leadership, I do believe in leadership, but like it's not like one person. It's a balanced team, you know, with a shared mission, vision, and goals. You know, a lot of people want to come together in community, but they don't really have the foundations of what it's going to take. You really need people like-minded and at least like-minded enough to have a similar vision, mission, goals, but also different enough to bring different skills, and then like real. You know, you have to have people have real talent in the roles that are needed. It's got to be intelligent. It's not much more than just intention.
If I may, leadership, yes, it's important, but we also need to be very careful about leadership, because if the leadership is in their own shadows and they claim not to be that, they could actually drag the whole group into that. That's one thing.
Well,
I think that the leadership, especially in collective shadow groups, should be more distributed, should be more empowered to more people, meaning that the work is in the processes, the work is in the rituals, the work is in the communicational tools, the work is in the consent, respecting spaces.
Education, right?
Yeah. It's on that, and it's a lot. I mean, yes, of course, it starts with a lot of people that want to do the shadow work and so on. Yes, first step. But let's not forget that there's a lot of bypassing. There's a lot of people that say, yeah, I do my shadow work, I do things, but they don't embody that shit. They just do it more for the show off and so on.
Are you focusing on the past or the future?
And focusing on it all, focusing on what I've seen, and focusing on what my work is, and focusing on the kind of work that I want to see and live in.
Okay, I want to wrap up because I see some people coming for the next thing, but I just want to finish to answer your question, respond to your comment. First off, it felt like there was a little bit of, there's nothing wrong with it, but we have a tendency to look at we do want to look at the past to learn from it. But leadership, sometimes we hear leadership and we think one person. That's not what I mean by leadership. Although you need individuals, or you need a vision, a mission, a way of evaluating. So leadership's more complicated. It's more our intelligent leadership that I'm thinking about is way more intelligent. And it includes, as you're saying, protocols, consent, safety, having different wise people. But also it does involve peoples who are making these decisions. I mean, at the end, the people might make decisions. But, you know, if I were creating a team, I would, you know, want to get to know them and make sure not only are they vision, mission, but also can they practice. Some people think they can practice, but, you know, when push comes to shove, maybe not. Sometimes you need a little bit of tension to see how they respond with it or not. And, you know, I trust that that's part of the evolution, is allowing, you know, just putting the intention. I do believe in the power of intention. I'm putting in the power of intention for me, so that I may find a group of people like that. And if that's something you desire, I'm sure anyone can have that. A lot of times when you put intention out there, what you're doing is you're creating a gap. You're telling the universe, I want to get here, and it'll give you if you believe the universe is working for you, it'll keep showing you what you need to do to close that gap. So, anyways, I want to wrap up and be respectful to the next group that's coming here. Thank you for coming. I got another talk on Saturday for Mozenter.com. I got a program that helps. It's called Energy Unleashed. It's a year-long program. If you want to check out, I'm going to do some webinars next week where I'm going to teach people meditation mastery, energy mastery, process mastery, how to rapidly unwind from patterns that are no longer serving and pick up the new ones and move you towards your dream individually and collectively. That's what I'm all about. So thanks, everybody.
Gracias.